I'm going to talk about something that I've been resisting making this video for a little while, letting it mull over in my mind, and it's about how you are everything. It's about how we put ourselves in different roles, which serve us and don't serve us, and how we are so willing to give up our power and give up our happiness. So when I started network chiropractic, when I was learning network spinal, the teachers mentioned a triad or a triune that we all tend to work in this world. And it is the triad of the hero, the victim, and the villain. And we have these three roles that tend to play into our interactions in life. And we naturally just feed into them. We will put ourselves in the role of the victim. And we do that anytime we blame someone or something else, or just the circumstances of our being, or anytime we blame. Anytime we say, I can't because, fill in the blank, we end up putting ourselves in the role of the victim. When we do that, when we choose to be the victim, which, like I said, is a hell of a lot, we end up putting someone else in the role of the hero and someone else in the role of the villain, either or. The big difference between the hero and the villain is that the villain is very clear that she is taking your power. And it's very clear, very obvious. Whereas the hero has still taken your power, is still working with your power, but is a lot more subtle about it. We see this playing out in our world with lawyers, doctors, judges, politicians. If you watch politics, it's the perfect example of the heroes and villains battling it out. The media loves to put these people in the role or the light of a hero, or the role of, or the shadow of the villain. But we do this all the time. And as we do this, we give up our power and we give up our choice. Because like I said, it brings in that phrase, I can't because, fill in the blank. And when you do that, you sacrifice your happiness. And when you choose something that is not for your own good, whose good are you doing it for? Or when you don't choose, that's a decision in itself. Who are you trying to protect? Who are you making that decision for? Because it's not for you. There's also the fear that comes into that, right? And fear it's a topic that comes into a lot of what I talk about, because fear is the thing that stops us from changing. Fear is what stops us from taking on the role of the hero or the villain ourselves. We submit to external powers, villains and heroes, because a lot of us are afraid of what it means to become the hero or the villain. No one likes the responsibility. What if I get it wrong? What if I make the wrong choice? What if I do this and it doesn't play out the way I intend it to? Well, chances are it won't. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And you know the saying, if you aren't, whatever the saying is, I'm going to butcher it. If you're not willing to work for your own dreams, then you'll automatically end up working for someone else's dreams. And that someone else is going to be someone who's more comfortable putting themselves in the role of the hero or the villain, but in their life, they're the ones who took control. They actually made choices, they made decisions, and they took action on it. So, the flip side of this is that every one of us, you, me, my kids, everyone out there in the world, has every quality within them. So everyone is a hero, everyone is the villain, and everyone is also the victim. It just depends on the situation. It depends on who you ask and who you put them in context with. Ask certain people, and I'm the hero in our relationships. Ask other people, I'm the villain. And then ask other people, and I'll be the victim. Same thing for you. There are people who look up to you as their savior. There are people who look to you, and when they see you, they shudder because you're the villain. And then, of course, there are others who look at you as someone to do their bidding. But the reality is, we are all three, and we're all three at the same time. It's just a matter of how are you going to behave? How are you going to flex into this role and out of that role? How are you going to decide what to do? How are you going to show up in the world? There is another triad that is maybe a little bit nicer to work in. And that's, instead of hero, victim, and villain, it's the coach, the sage, and the guide. All helpful along your journey. They're in the movies. They're your Gandalf the Grey. They're Uncle Ben in Spider-Man, giving Spider-Man those words of wisdom: with great power comes great responsibility. They're Alfred in Batman, always there in the background trying to pull Bruce Wayne back from doing silly things. There is a guide, there as a coach. That's the role that I've been trying more and more to put myself in and play from that role. Because if I am able to put myself separate and not have an invested interest in the outcome with the people in my life, other than their happiness and success, and taking none of the glory, it means I can be a bit more objective. And it means that the people in my life can own their own successes and own their own happiness and step into their own power without giving it to me. And it's a truly beautiful thing to see the people in your life acting with power and grace and changing things for the better and growing in such magnificent ways. But have a look at your own life. Where do you play the victim? Where do you play the hero and the villain? And where could you play the role of the guide, the friend, the coach? And maybe, just maybe, you'll find more instances where you can be the friend, the coach, and the guide. Have a play with that. See how that feels.